This episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Oh my goodness. Good morning, good afternoon. Whatever it is for you, I hope you're having a fantastic day. My name is Zach Schomler. This is Strong Opinion Sports, episode 641. Welcome in. It is very early in the morning on Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. If you're listening and you've got a mom, which is, look, given how human anatomy works, very likely you got someone who gave birth to you, you better tell them Happy Mother's Day. It's a big deal. Say thank you. Say I love you. Say, hey, thanks for the stuff you did. If you got a terrible relationship with your mother, hey, I can relate. I had to repair mine as an adult with my mom. But if you got one and it's possible, man, tell your mother Happy Mother's Day. Welcome in. Hope you're doing well. Today's show is honestly a very intimidating one. I think it's going to be very short. I'm worried about it. I split today's episode into two parts. I really want to talk about the roast of Tom Brady. And I was going to make it the meat and potatoes main topic of this show today, but I realized I actually think that's better off as its own piece of separate content. Like make a separate thing people can click on and watch and listen to. Because what I really want to do for that episode is talk about the roast of Tom Brady. And then at some point be like, hey, spoiler warning. And then the rest of the episode, like halfway through, is going to be all about the things that happened so that people who've already listened to it and watched the roast of Tom Brady can listen to that podcast episode and hear me talk about the things, in detail and with spoilers. So if this episode is short and weird, don't worry. I'm recording episode 641, then I'm going to pause for like 3 seconds, hit record again, and record episode 642, all about the roast of Tom Brady. So if there's a weird bit of confusing stuff going on, don't worry. It's a short episode intentionally. That is not an accident. I am very aware, and do not stress. Now, let me turn the volume down on my phone, because I do not want my phone going off mid-episode. Here's what I want to talk about today, first of all. News broke this week that Odell Beckham Jr., the wide receiver, has joined the Miami Dolphins. Now, I think 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I would have been like pounding the table. Oh my gosh, can you believe it? Odell Beckham Jr., one of the best receivers with the most potential. I think years ago this would have been a bigger deal than it is today. But today, Odell Beckham Jr. is an unknown commodity. So I want to acknowledge, it's exciting. There's possibilities here for sure. I love what Miami's doing. They've got Tyreek Hill. They've got Jalen Waddle. They've now got Odell Beckham Jr. Odell Beckham Jr. most recently made an impact in the NFL with the Rams. When the Rams won a Super Bowl, he was a big part of that Rams team. He tore his ACL in said Super Bowl. And I really don't know what to expect from Odell Beckham Jr. this year now on the Miami Dolphins, but certainly there's potential for it to be Odell. Let's look at his age. How old is Odell Beckham Jr.? Odell Beckham Jr. is 31 years old. He's a 31-year-old receiver. I have an open mind here. I would love for this to be a huge deal and Odell be amazing and has a huge impact. And theoretically, on paper, it's possible, right? I think if you've got Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, and the result of that is that then the third best corner on any given NFL team has to guard Odell Beckham Jr. That's fascinating. I like that thought. That's an interesting idea. But I don't want to get too excited about Odell joining Miami yet, without really seeing what he can bring to the table this year in 2024. But I want to acknowledge that happened. I think it's fascinating. I think it's interesting. But I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. But let's acknowledge Odell has joined Miami. And, dude, first of all, I'm happy for him. Like, what a great place to play football. I am telling you, as I look around the NFL, the state I would most want to play football in is Florida. Like, no state income tax. It's warm. It's nice. There's also no state income tax in Texas and Tennessee and Washington, the state of Washington. But of those four states, the place I would most want to be, I'll say it. If I'm going to be rich anywhere, it'd be Florida, dude. I would have a lot of fun with that. Good for Odell. Miami's a really fun city, and I'm fascinated to see how he's going to do in a really creative, really exciting offense with Mike McDaniel calling the shots. Tua throwing him the football. Good players around him. I would imagine having Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle in the same offense is going to create more opportunities for Odell to have really favorable matchup. So I'm just fascinated to see, how does Odell Beckham Jr. do this year in Miami? I don't want to get too excited. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but certainly it's a very interesting possibility there. Another signing happened. Tyler Boyd signed with the Tennessee Titans, which is really, it's Tyler Boyd, who played last in Cincinnati, reuniting with his former offensive coordinator, Brian Callahan. Brian Callahan went from the offensive coordinator with Joe Burrow in Cincinnati to Tennessee. Remember, Brian Callahan did a great job with Jake Browning last year when Joe Burrow was hurt. Jake Browning came in, did a really good job off the bench, made a name for himself. I think that's part of why he got the job. He's an offensive-minded coach. Now he's going to be working with a young second-year quarterback, Will Levis. And here is the wide receiver room in Tennessee right now. Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins, Tyler Boyd, and a former first-round pick, Treylon Burks, who, to this point, Treylon Burks has been kind of a bust, honestly. But I've got an open mind. I'm very curious to see what happens there. But I just think, man, it could not be... It has to be really, really acknowledged that Tennessee has completely overhauled what they've got going on the offensive side of the football. They fired Mike Vrabel. God bless him. He was a great coach, but he wasn't an offensive coach. You got a young quarterback there with weapons now. Again, Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins, Tyler Boyd, Treylon Burks, an offensive-minded coach who worked really well with quarterbacks in the past. I don't know that Tennessee is going to be a home run, but they're doing the best they can. And I really like that. I like seeing a team do the very best they can to support their young quarterback. Landing Tyler Boyd is a big deal. Is he a crazy good player? No, he's a veteran receiver, but he's playing for a coach he knows very well. He's done good stuff with Brian Callahan in the past, and I think it's a very quiet, nice little signing by the Tennessee Titans. Now, there's one more receiver that signed I want to talk about. I've talked recently before about the Buffalo Bills, how what they did with the first pick of the second round, they drafted Keon Coleman, a wide receiver out of Florida State, a guy who's a big dude, can go get jump balls, really physical. He made a couple catches last year where I was like, did you see what Keon Coleman just did? That was absolutely insane. Well, the Bills made another move. They signed free agent wide receiver Chase Claypool. I'm over the moon. I'm so excited. He was drafted by Pittsburgh, had a lot of potential there, had some attitude problems, was very unhappy. I think, frankly, Chase Claypool never had a great quarterback in Pittsburgh. Last year goes to Chicago. It also didn't go great. There's a lot of unknown with Chase Claypool. Does he have an attitude problem? Can he play? Here's what I'll tell you. Say what you want about Chase Claypool, but he's massive. He's a big, tall receiver, really physical, and got a ton of potential. He's the kind of guy who, if Chase Claypool can reach the potential he has as a player, he's one of the best receivers in football. And now he's playing with Josh Allen, paired up with Keon Coleman. I don't know. Chase Claypool could be a total flop. He could maybe not work in Buffalo. But the possibilities are there. And we saw Buffalo get rid of Stephon Diggs, a receiver who was very expensive. They traded him away. If you go watch the way Buffalo's season ended last year, it actually ended with Stephon Diggs not catching a pass, where you're like, that kind of could have made the difference in the game, actually. Like, maybe paying that guy a ton of money isn't quite right. I was worried when Buffalo got rid of Stephon Diggs because they would lose their number one receiver. They also lost a couple other guys. I think Buffalo actually is kind of retooled and really wisely spent their money to rebuild their offensive side of the football now with Keon Coleman, Chase Claypool, investing on the defensive side of the football. I look at what Buffalo's doing and go, you know what? Actually, this could work. And it's fascinating. And the type of receiver that Keon Coleman is, a big physical receiver. The guy can go get jump balls. And Chase Claypool's that similar type of receiver. A big guy, physical, in cold weather, can go get the football. I think these two guys, Keon Coleman and Chase Claypool, if Chase Claypool could have a good attitude and bring his best to the table, he fits very, very well with Josh Allen in Buffalo. And I find it fascinating and exciting. I'm like, oh my gosh, wow. This could work out very, very well. Now, it could go horribly. Again, we've seen Chase Claypool kind of didn't work in Pittsburgh, didn't really work in Chicago, but now maybe he's going to be in a place where he wants to be with a really good quarterback. He got to choose where he wanted to go. And if there's ever a time for Chase Claypool to succeed and do well in the NFL, it's now. And I actually think, again, he's so talented. He's got so much potential, and now he's playing with one of the top 5 quarterbacks in football. I'm very hesitantly excited about Chase Claypool in Buffalo. I think it could be fantastic, and I'm really, really hopeful he can be a home run for the Buffalo Bills. By the way, if you're watching on YouTube, you would notice your boy Zach got a haircut. I got a haircut today. It was fun. It's so much... I like the curly long hair, but we're heading into the busy time of year. It's going to be really hot. It was really hot today. It was in the 90s here in Portland. No. Let me back off. It was more like 86. But even like 86 in Portland does not feel like 85, 86 in Hawaii either. It feels way hotter, honestly. And I was like, dude, I can't do the sweaty long hair thing anymore. I need hair that I can... I'm driving around, meeting with clients all over the Portland area at my job. And I'm like, dude, I need to have hair that, like, by the end of the day can be solved and look good with no preparation and no work. I can't be putting product in my hair anymore. I am so done with that. So, haircut, here we go. I also want to add, I've got a note here that says, it literally just says Keon Coleman, listen to him. There are so many good, funny sound bites and quotes from Keon Coleman, the new rookie receiver in Buffalo. I recommend you go to YouTube and look up Keon Coleman best of Keon Coleman. Dude, you will find some really hilarious gems. This guy, this receiver, he's going to be a gold mine for a long time in the NFL. People are going to find him incredibly entertaining. And as he does well, I actually worry he's going to become kind of a diva receiver. I hope not. I hope he can keep his reputation. Remember, Terrell Owens, it took a while before he was viewed as the diva receiver he is now. Keon Coleman is such a big, fun personality. I worry he's going to get put in a box of diva receiver. I think he's just a really fun, entertaining guy. And I hope people can look at him and enjoy his personality rather than tear him down. But if you want an entertaining time, I highly recommend go to YouTube, type in best of Keon Coleman, and you're going to have an outstanding, really, really entertaining time. All right, I got to let you know, this episode is brought to you by Game Time. The NBA playoffs are here. Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of the NBA, which makes getting playoff tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to tip-off. They've got killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets. It's a great way to buy NBA playoff tickets. Frankly, for me, I live in Portland. I'm about 2 hours south of Seattle. I would probably use the Game Time app to go buy maybe Mariners tickets up in Seattle, go to a baseball game, have a hot dog, have a beer, hang out with my friends at a ballpark, or maybe go buy concert tickets. However, they've got last-minute deals which can save you up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, etc. They've got flash deals which can save you even more with exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game or event. They've got zone deals where you can save even more when you choose a selection of the arena and let Game Time choose your seats. They've got all-in pricing, which toggling this feature shows you the total amount up front with no surprise fees at checkout, so there's no hidden fees. They've got seat views, which gives you a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy, so you know exactly what your seat is what it's gonna look like from your seat when you purchase your ticket. And here's a couple ways Game Time has your back. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. There's job loss assurance, which means that if you lose your job and need a refund, Game Time has you covered. You'll get your money back. They've got event cancellation protection, meaning there's an automatic full refund for events that are canceled and not rescheduled. And there's a 24-hour return guarantee. If you return your tickets within 24 hours from the time of your purchase for a full credit, you will get a full credit to your Game Time account. No questions asked. I like how Game Time does business. They have your back. They will take care of you. Download the Game Time app or create an account. Use code CLNS for 20% off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account on the Game Time app and redeem with the code CLNS for 20% off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. We also have one more sponsor today, Factor Meal Kits. They're offering 50% off to listeners of this show. Factor Meal Kits, go to factormeals.com/SOS50 and use code SOS50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next box. That is code SOS50 at factormeals.com/SOS50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next box while your subscription is active. What is Factor? Let me tell you. Factor is a meal kit service. They send you ready-to-eat meals. They're easy to prepare. They show up in a box. You put the meal kits in the fridge. When you want your food, you go to the fridge, you put the food in the microwave, you heat it up in about 2 minutes. You've got restaurant-quality food ready to go. It's never frozen, high-quality ingredients, and compared to all the other options you can have for a quick and easy meal, I would say Factor is by far the best. Also, I think it's very interesting. There are so many different ways you can customize your order. Maybe you're on a diet trying to cut calories. There are low-calorie options. Factor can meet you where you want to be. You can customize your order however you want. Maybe you just want a good meal that doesn't take 30 minutes to prepare and an hour that doesn't take, an hour out of your life to get ready. Guess what? For me, I'm super busy. I'm running around. I'm doing a job. I'm doing the podcast. I'm learning new things. I'm doing so much at my job right now. It's kind of insane. For me, having a really good meal ready to go in my fridge is incredibly valuable. You pull it out, 2 minutes in the microwave, and you've got restaurant quality food ready to go. It saves me a lot of time. It's also cheaper for you and better for you than other options. You've got 50% off with code SOS50 compared to takeout or delivery. Guys, those prices are not good compared to Factor. Again, if you want a high-quality meal quickly, I recommend Factor. Go to factormeals.com/SOS50 and use code SOS50 to get 50% off your first box and 20% off your next shot. The next order. That is code SOS50 at factormeals.com/SOS50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next box while your subscription is active. Again, I think you should look into this. It's a great value. Factor Meal Kits is awesome. All right. I want to talk about this. This is really fascinating. We have one of the rookie quarterbacks now who has signed his contract. Denver Broncos first-round pick, Bo Nix, signed a 4-year, fully guaranteed $18.61 million contract. I am not going to lie to you. 4 years, $18 million, to me, is modest and frankly very favorable for the Denver Broncos. That's a really good contract. Everybody kind of wins here. Denver gets potentially a starting quarterback for a very moderate, reasonable price, and because he didn't sign for a crazy amount of money, Bo Nix can have a lot of help around him. They can sign good players to help him. Remember, his team is paying Russell Wilson still to be quarterback for one more year, so they're kind of, financially in a bind. Bo Nix signing a favorable contract is really good for the team. It helps him. Everyone wins here. I really like what happened with Bo Nix in Denver. They seem to be on the same page. It's fascinating to me. Like, oh, wow. Didn't make him break the bank. I mean, this is a guy, he wasn't the top pick, but we saw Bryce Young signed for, what was it, $40 million roughly. Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, and Anthony Richardson last year all signed for around $40 million. So I get it. He was picked not in the top 10. He's more like, what pick was he? The 12th pick? I want to get this right. Bo Nix draft pick. Why can't I should know this off the top of my head. I apologize that I don't. He was drafted number 12 overall. There we go. Like I was right in the end. So Bo Nix was a number 12 pick rather than the number 1 or number 2 pick, or even number, what was Richardson the 4th pick or the 3rd pick? I think it was the 4th pick. He was a top 5 pick either way. He wasn't a top 5 pick. Those guys last year that were top 5 picks signed right around $40 million for a 4-year contract. Bo Nix did not. But I think he wins because it lowers expectations. It helps the team support him. He's going to make plenty of money. $18 million is nothing to laugh at all. He's set for life now if he's smart with his money. And Denver really, really wins here by having a quarterback that's potentially their starting quarterback for an affordable, reasonable price that's going to give them options to spend money elsewhere and make their team better around him. So I think everybody wins here. I like Bo Nix doing this. It's really good. It's a very moderate amount of money, in my opinion. And it's fascinating. It makes me wonder how much the other quarterbacks, like Caleb Williams is probably going to sign for like $45, $50 million or whatever. I don't know what the max is, but whatever it is, he's going to do that. He's going to push the envelope. Bo Nix did not. Bo Nix did not push it. He said, I'll take the money. I'm happy. I want to play football. I'm a football guy more than anything. And I find that really interesting. Okay, I want to talk about Kory Curtis. I saw a picture. Let's see if he's even still playing on the Seattle Seahawks. Kory Curtis. I saw a picture of Talia Tagovailoa, the quarterback. Oh my gosh, there's a lot going on. There's a lot happening here. First of all, I didn't realize this until I'm looking at Twitter right now. Apparently, and this is from Kory Curtis himself. Kory Curtis says, just realized I could be one of only 4 Mexican quarterbacks in NFL history. So Kory Curtis is Mexican. Didn't even know that. Doesn't really matter to his story, but he's celebrating that on Twitter. That's very cool. Kory Curtis played at Ohio State briefly. And then what happened was he wasn't going to play. He was the backup behind Dwayne Haskins. Said, look, I want to get on the field. Goes to Gannon University. I have never heard of Gannon University. I believe they're a D2 college. Had to look them up. So Kory Curtis went to Gannon University. He killed it. Was fantastic. Instead of being a D1 bench warmer, said, I want to go play college football. I want to get on the field. I want to literally actually play on Saturdays. And now he's in the Seattle Seahawks training camp right now. Talia Tagovailoa got sent home. From what I know, he's still there. I saw a goofy picture of Talia Tagovailoa and a guy that I was like, who is that big, thick quarterback? Like that guy that's a big, hefty boy. And that's Kory Curtis. Kory Curtis is awesome. I have nothing to say other than I want to see more quarterbacks have the self-awareness to say, look, I'm never going to play here. There's a guy named, I don't want to take shots at anybody. I don't mean to. This is not an attack, but there's a guy I know named Cole Lord. He plays quarterback at Texas. He's never going to get on the field. He's behind, a nephew of the Manning family and Quinn Ewers. You're never going to see Cole Lord play and be the starting quarterback at Texas. You know what, though? He's a really talented quarterback. I love the kid. He's so good. I want to see him play. I don't think more people that are in the situation that Cole Lord is in should do what Kory Curtis did, which is, hey, I'm at Ohio State. I'm behind a bunch of NFL quarterbacks. I'm never going to play. Maybe instead of being, I don't know, a 4th or 5th string D1 quarterback, you go to a drop down a level, go to a D1 school, get a full ride scholarship still, get your degree paid for, but get on the field, play, have fun on Saturdays. If you like being a backup, you like the attention of being a college quarterback and you're comfortable never seeing the field, hey, live your life, do what you want. But I want to see more quarterbacks hungry to get on the field. And this Kory Curtis guy, I saw a picture. Again, I was like, that guy is massive. What is happening here? Who is he? I looked him up, saw his story a little bit, and went, wow, he was at Ohio State. He transferred down, got on the field, just absolutely balled out. Now he's in the Seahawks training camp. And that's a story I would like to see repeated more and more as time goes on. If you're not going to play at the D1 level, you're going to be a backup. Some guys they're on the bubble and they're fighting hard for a spot and they get some game time. That's cool. But if you're a guy who literally is never going to touch the field in the 4 or 5 years you're there, dude, go play on Saturdays. You went there to play, not to be a backup. Do you realize if you're that kid, like I mean this with, again, I'm not trying to take shots at Cole Lord. He's just the only example that pops in my head right now. If you're Cole Lord, do you realize you played your last game of football? You realize you're never going to see the field? I hope I'm wrong, Cole. I hope you play someday. But if you're a kid like that, go get on the field. Go have fun. And maybe he loves his life. I hate that someone's probably going to send this to Cole Lord and say, like, oh, please don't. I'm not attacking the guy at all. My point is this. If you're a backup D1 quarterback and you're really never going to see the field, really consider your options here and go, do I want to be the guy who never plays football again? Like I really never get live reps in a game ever again. Never get meaningful reps of a football game ever again in my life. Do you want that for you? Because for me, I'd be like, look, I want to play. I want to play now. I made a controversial decision. I went and played a lower level college when I was getting recruited. I had options at bigger schools. But I'm like, I don't want to be a backup. I want to play college football, not be a college football backup. And I can't encourage people enough. Look at Kory Curtis. It's a cool example. A guy who went from Ohio State to Gannon University, balled out, kicked ass, and now he's in the NFL at a training camp. I think that's very cool. And I like that story. It makes me really happy to see that. And I'm rooting for guys to get on the field, enjoy their lives, and play football. And no shot, please, Cole Lord, I meant no offense. I don't mean to attack you at all. In fact, I mean nothing but positive things for you. I just think it's sad when guys go to a Division I school and literally never play football again. Guys who are talented and have potential and could do really good stuff if they were playing on Saturdays. And Kory Curtis is a guy who said, I want to play, not watch. I think that's very inspiring and very cool. Well done. Tip of the cap to Kory Curtis. All right. Let's end the show with a bunch of questions from Patreon. If you want to support the show, go to patreon.com/Zach Schaumler. Patreon.com/Zach Schaumler. It's $1 a month. You can donate more if you want to. Please do. $1 a month gives you access to submit questions on Patreon. Now, I do not guarantee to read your question on the show. My only guarantee is I look at every single write-in with my eyeballs and I pick the top couple to read on the show. By the way, I want to let you know, I cannot hear myself today. I don't know what's going on. My headphones are not working for some reason. I mean, I hear myself, but it doesn't sound quite right. So if anything's wrong with the audio, I've got a backup recording on Zencastr, a great app. So who knows what's going to happen with the audio today. I hope it sounds good. If it sounds terrible, usually I can hear myself while I record very well and can kind of test the sound levels and have a good idea. I don't know what's going on. And maybe it's my ears. I'm not really sure, but I cannot very confidently hear myself, and that's a fascinating way to record a podcast. Usually I hear exactly what's going on constantly, and the fact that I can't right now. You know, the Aurora Borealis is happening. There's a geomagnetic storm in the sky. Like, literally, my internet speeds have been really slow today. Normally, I've got the fastest internet I've had in my entire life. I don't know if they're all connected, but weird stuff's happening with technology today. Surely, the electromagnetic storm cannot be impacting my recording equipment, but that sounds insane. I swear to God, I'm not a crazy person. I'm not the Looney Tunes guy in the woods. I live in the city. I'm a normal guy. But I still, doesn't change the fact I can barely hear myself right now. Volume's up, everything's normal. I don't know what's going on. So hopefully, this episode sounds good. If it sounds good, feel free to comment on YouTube. Let me know that, like, Zach, in fact, the show sounds normal. So let's read the first question of the day. It's from Justin. Justin says, I want to hear the best and worst NFL logos. What you got? I'm not going to give you a whole long answer of all the worst logos in the NFL. I think the Washington Commanders logo is one that you're like, it's just a W. That could be better. But I actually don't hate the Washington Commanders logo. I would imagine that's one people are going to commonly say is one of the worst. I don't know what a commander looks like. I think a W is very safe. It gets the message across. You know what team it is. I don't mind the W for the Washington Commanders at all. By far, there's one logo in the NFL that is clearly and obviously the worst in football, and it's the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns have by far the absolute worst logo in the NFL. It's just a orange helmet, which, by the way, orange is not the color of their team name. They're the Browns, and their logo is pardon my French, a shitty orange helmet. Like, I don't know what to make of that. It's garbage. It's awful. The Browns have far and away the worst logo in the NFL. But to me, there's like mostly good. I look around the NFL, there's a lot of really good ones. I like the Atlanta Falcons logo. I actually really like the Dallas Cowboys logo. The star conveys cowboy. It's like the Lone Star State, kind of makes sense. But to me, my personal and I really like the Bengals logo actually too. It's that B with the stripes through it. I think it's really cool. To me, though, my 4 favorite logos in football really are, I love the Raiders logo. It's classic. It's good. It's really cool. It's just, the Raiders logo is probably, to me, the best logo in football. I really, really like it. followed by, and I know this is controversial, a lot of people hate the Rams logo. I actually really like it. The horns, it's really, the Rams logo to me is outstanding, but a lot of people simply do not like it. I really like the way the Rams logo looks. The Houston Texans logo is fantastic. It's the bull, it's got the star for the eye, which stands for, kind of represents a Lone Star State. It's the colors of the Texas state flag. I think the Houston Texans logo is fantastic. And then one other shout out to a logo that probably will never get praise from anyone else, but I think it's worth talking about. The LA Chargers logo actually really effectively conveys what they are. It's a little lightning bolt. It's like, hey, we're the Chargers. Here's what we are. I think the LA Chargers logo is about the best you can possibly do with a weird name like the Chargers. I think that it's fantastic. It conveys what it is. It's a lightning bolt. It makes sense to me. Those are the logos I like. But again, I really wanted to answer this question to make it very clear. By far, the worst logo in football is the Cleveland Browns. And it's not even the logo's fault. It's because the name is bad. The name of the Browns doesn't make sense. What do you do for that? What kind of logo do you make for a team name called the Browns? It's just a terrible name, which puts you in a bind when it comes to creating a logo for that terrible name. The Browns, man, they are a PR mess. It's a marketing nightmare, and I feel bad for them. Lionheart writes in, and I want to give a shout out to Lionheart. His salutation, his greeting to me is fantastic. It says, HVAC Zach. That's exactly what I am. I am HVAC Zach. HVAC Zach. One fear I've consistently had in regards to my Bengals fandom is what happens if they ever win a Super Bowl. Hear me out. I used to watch a ton of pro wrestling. I religiously followed New Japan Pro Wrestling as I thought it was way better than WWE. There was one wrestler, Kenny Omega, who kept getting closer and closer to winning the title, but never won. After a year and a half of build-up, he finally won the belt in one of the greatest matches of all time, and while watching him finally win was extremely cathartic. I never quite cared about pro wrestling as much after that. I guess I felt like I saw everything I needed to see. That was 6 years ago, and now I watch a wrestling show maybe once or twice a year, when I used to watch any event I could get my hands on. I love football, and I'd never just drop off entirely, but sometimes I wonder if I'd be as invested in the NFL as I am right now if I saw my Cincinnati Bengals win the big one. What if you saw the Mariners win the World Series? Do you think you would be more or less invested than you currently are? Well, here's the good news. We're never going to have to wonder about the Mariners winning a World Series. It's never, ever going to happen. So I'm not worried about that at all. I get what you're saying, though. I understand you get what you wanted, and suddenly you're less interested. But is that a bad thing either? Like, I think that sometimes things come to an end. Your passion for a topic or your passion for a thing kind of wanes and fluxes. And like right now, I love Formula One so much. It's my second favorite sport behind football. I really like. I know that's weird, but I love Formula One racing. However, I was really invested when Max Verstappen, the up-and-coming driver, was taking on, at the time, Lewis Hamilton. When I first got into Formula One, Lewis Hamilton was the top dog. He was a driver for Mercedes. He was dominating. He'd won a ton of championships. He's a 7-time world title winner. And so I came in right as Max Verstappen was challenging him and trying to overtake him. And it was so fun to watch Max Verstappen trying to take down the big, bad Lewis Hamilton. And guess what? He did. Max beat Lewis Hamilton in a crazy, controversial race at the end of the year. And then the next year after that, he won. And then after that, he won again. And Max Verstappen has just been dominating Formula One ever since he overtook Lewis Hamilton. To the point now, I'm like, well, I'm not that invested anymore. Until there's a reason to until there's competition, until there's a thing to pull me back, I love Formula One, but there's no new storylines. It's every year, oh, Max is the best. Again, he's dominating with Red Bull. Again, okay. I'm kind of bored of it, and that's okay. I've got peace about that. It sounds like that's what happened with you in wrestling. You You saw what you wanted. I love The Office. It's an awesome show. I hate Michael Scott, the boss of that show. Many people like Michael Scott. Michael Scott makes me want to rip my eyeballs out. I do not watch The Office for Michael Scott. When I rewatch The Office, I watch for Jim and Pam. Jim and Pam have a really fun romantic relationship that develops over time. Spoilers for The Office. Although if you don't know, everyone should know Jim and Pam get together at some point. Sorry if I ruined that show. You had your time. You had plenty of time to watch The Office. In fact, if anything, you're more likely to watch now because you get to watch this guy get out of the friend zone. About season 3, he gets together with Pam. That's why I watch. And when I rewatch The Office, I watch till Jim and Pam get together, and then I go, you know what? Now I don't care. This is why I was watching. I was watching for their romance. I watched for Jim and Dwight having chaotic interactions. I was watching for Jim getting Pam. Once he wins Pam, I don't care anymore, and that's okay. You get what you want out of it, and you move on with your life, and I think it's totally normal. You would be less invested if the Bengals win a Super Bowl because that's the hook right now. And once the hook is achieved, no reason to be deeply invested anymore. That makes sense to me. I don't think it's even a bad thing. It makes a lot of sense from my perspective. Jay writes in, let me drink some water first. Jay says, "Good morrow, Zach. The NFL draft is one of my favorite times of the year. As such, I created an NFL draft game for me and my friends. It has fun games like guessing which position each team takes with their first pick, predicting which round a team top prospects of their position go, and other fun questions. All worth specific point values. If you were interested, I would happily create this game for you next NFL draft and let you do whatever you want with it. Us Patreon subscribers could play and declare a winner, or we could do it to have fun. Or if you hate the idea, just let me know how stupid I am on this show. Joking. Love your show. Hope life is going well, Jay." Jay, I think what you just said is an entire episode next year. I think we'll do... send in the game. I'll play it on the show. That'd be fun. We can make a whole episode playing your game, making little picks and predicting stuff, and find a way to include the audience and see what the audience does. And we'll do one like before the draft, and then we'll do a recap of what happened to the game. I think that'd be actually really fun content to make. So Jay, yeah, hit me up. That sounds like a great time. Create the game, do the work for me, so I don't have to do much thinking. But then I'll make the pick. I'll play along, and I think that'd be really cool, actually. So Jay, ball's in your court, dude. I'll do that next year. Sure, screw it. That'd be really fun. I'll find a way. We can find a way to work together and let the audience participate too, and hopefully make it so that literally everyone who wants to can play. I think that'd be really, really fun. And Jay, I love the idea. Let me know. Get in touch with me. You have my Patreon. Send me a message or email me, zach@zachschomler.com. Let's get in touch, and we'll make a game for the draft next year. That'd be really fun, actually. I think that's a great idea, and I love it. Kenny writes in with his horrifying salutation, says, "Hey, Zaddy." No, I still hate it, but I'll go along with it. "Hey, Zaddy." So I'm sure you saw the news about Eric Bieniemy. My question is, what happened? After the 2022 season with Kansas City, he was touted as a potential head coach. But after this recent year, he was fired and recently picked up a gig as a UCLA offensive coordinator. Was he carried by Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid when he was on the Chiefs? I guess that's the question. Was Eric Bieniemy carried by Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid when he was in Kansas City? Kenny, Eric Bieniemy to me is a cautionary tale of a guy who had a really good situation, working for Andy Reid, winning Super Bowls, and coaching the greatest quarterback I've ever seen in my entire life. Tom Brady's the most accomplished. Patrick Mahomes is the best. I cannot imagine how much fun it would be to work with Patrick Mahomes, how easy it would be, frankly, too. He's a magician. Eric Bieniemy seemed to want, and in fact, it's verifiable because he left, he wanted more credit. He wanted more, wanted to be head coach, wanted to be the man, and walked away from a really good situation. And I don't know that was right. He went to a coach, Ron Rivera, who was on the edge of getting fired with new ownership. what I'm saying is that Eric Bieniemy took a massive risk by going to Washington. He took a job as offensive coordinator at Washington under Ron Rivera, a coach who was on his last leg, about to get fired, with a team that had new ownership, and a quarterback who was unproven, Sam Howell. Eric Bieniemy chose that situation rather than working with an incredible coach and the best quarterback I've ever seen in my entire life, winning Super Bowls. So I think it's a guy who didn't appreciate what he had and walked away from a really, really good situation, which is just stupid in my opinion. I hope you're happy UCLA. I hope you enjoyed doing terrible in Washington, I guess, with Sam Howell and a coach that got fired. Kansas City won the Super Bowl without you. I don't know. Sometimes you can hand somebody a great opportunity. If they don't appreciate it, that's on them. And I think ambition got in the way of Eric Bieniemy just letting it ride. And sometimes you got to look around and go, you know what? Things are pretty good. I'm not going to screw this up. You know, the number one thing my therapist told me, I went to therapy in October, got dumped horribly. It was awful. And for me, I basically went to therapy boot camp. I went to therapy twice a week for 4 months, which if you don't know anything about therapy, that's an insane amount of therapy. That usually people go once a week. Some people go once a month. I was like, I need it twice a week. And I worked really, really hard on my shit. I said, I want to improve as a human. And you know what my therapist told me? Said, Zach, you know how to get through hard things. You've been through a lot of really awful, really difficult things in your life. You know how to do that already. You're here to learn how to enjoy good things. And I was like, oh, crap. That's why. That was really insightful. It was really good for me. And now I look around and I try to, when I get treated well at work, when my girlfriend's incredible to me, when I live in a great apartment, I've got a good job, things are doing well, like going well, and Portland's beautiful and nice. I try to just appreciate the good things and not ruin them. Try to be like, you know what? I don't think I'm crazy when I say my life's pretty good right now. I'm actually the happiest I've ever been. And I'm trying to appreciate that and enjoy that. And I worry that Eric Bieniemy just didn't appreciate a really good situation he had. I said it at the time. I said it 2 years ago. I said it a year ago. I'm saying it again now with different context and a life that I really enjoy right now. Man, guys, be on the lookout for sabotaging yourself and try to enjoy. If you got a good situation, it's okay to just enjoy it and let it ride. Like, let things play out. And I think Eric Bieniemy let ambition, and I don't know what other things were going on in his head, but he walked away from a really good situation in Kansas City, and I don't know that was right at all. Troy writes in, and I don't know if I answered your question, but the long and the short is he went to a really vulnerable position in Washington with a quarterback who, man, I guess Eric Bieniemy, if he kicked ass and did really well with Sam Howell, he would have had probably a head coaching job, but he didn't. And so I think he just, again, my response really answered it, but I think it's also that, is that he didn't do well in Washington is kind of the piece I didn't say. And that's why he's now not in the NFL anymore. Troy writes in, Troy says, hey, Zach, I have 2 questions for you today. The first is almost like last episode's question about whether you would want to know everything or be a rock. My question is, would you rather know everything or go back to being 10 years old and know everything you know now? And if you did go back, what's something you would change? So let's answer that first, and we'll talk about the Dallas Cowboys, the second question. Hey, Troy. Outstanding question. You did so much better. I challenged you. I made fun of you a little bit. You came back with a good question. Thank you. Would I rather know everything or take the knowledge I have now and go back to 10 years old and relive my life? I'm not going to lie to you, Troy. Even as late as like December, last year, December 2023, I probably would have told you, if I can go back to 10 years old, knowing what I know now with that ammunition, I would go back in time because I'd be a better quarterback. I'd be a better man, better boyfriend, better student, better everything. I'd have a way better life. If I could redo everything, dude, I'd do way better with a second chance. Honestly, I would probably be, a pilot. I would make $265,000 a year flying commercial airliners around the world, travel, have fun, own a house. I'd be killing it. I knowing what I know now would be really, really beneficial for me. However, I like my life a lot. I've got literally the best relationship I'm ever going to have in my entire life. I live in an amazing apartment. I've got the best job I'm ever going to find. Without a college degree, I've got a great sales job. I'm really happy. My family's nearby. Portland is beautiful. It's heading into summer. It's really awesome. I love my life, and I wouldn't go back in time. So I guess if the answer is know everything or go back in time, I guess I'd know everything, but I don't really need that either. I don't need either option. I'm really enjoying my life, and I don't want to make any changes. I'm just like, look, things are good. How about I ride it out? And that's a new thing for me. So I guess if I got to pick one of the two, I'd want to know everything, which would be kind of miserable, honestly, but I'll take it. I'll take it, and I'm really happy with that. Because you know what? I don't think if I went back to 10 years old, I could recapture all the things I like about my life now. It's just not going to happen. Things worked out the way they did, and they worked out for me in the right way, and I'm just going to let them roll and really just enjoy the opportunity in front of me. Troy's second question is this. It's about his team, the Dallas Cowboys. As I want you to know your thoughts on, he says, I want to know your thoughts on how they will do this year. Many Cowboys fans seem to believe we will suck this year and miss the playoffs, but I still believe we have what it takes to win 10 or 11 games. But I wonder what you think. Greetings from California. I hope you're doing great. The Dallas Cowboys, they've got Dak Prescott, who they're paying way too much money. He doesn't have a lot of weapons. They've got a rebuild offensive line, but I think they're going to be mediocre again. They've got the same coach and the same quarterback, which have limitations and a ceiling. It's not very complicated to me. Mike McCarthy's got limitations. Dak Prescott's got limitations. He doesn't have a lot of weapons around him. I hope I'm wrong, but it seems like, the Cowboys are headed towards a mediocre season that's kind of ended the same way the last couple of years have, which is they're not awful. They're not a terrible football team. They're really not. But they're not a contender either. They're just going to have a middling year and lose in the second round of the playoffs again, like they do basically every year with Dak Prescott. I think that's the ceiling of this team. They didn't do anything to upgrade their team, really. They haven't made any massive changes. And without doing that, I don't know how you could expect anything different in Dallas. I know that's maybe a boring answer, but it's honest. Noah writes in. Noah says, hey, Zachski. I wanted to get your opinion on trash talk. I'm a big fan of players or fans getting in someone's face and letting them know what's up. I think most competitive sports games should allow trash talking because I think there's a mental game that can be affected by the way fans or other players treat you. However, with more places and sports banning the use of even poster signs, I'm starting to get fed up with this new era of not being offensive or mean to players or other fans. What are your thoughts on trash talk, and should there be a limit to how low someone can go? As always, Zach, love the content from the past, the content you're making now, and the content you'll make in the future. Here's to many more times you'll see questions with your eyeballs. Take care, Noah. Thank you, Noah. I love trash talk. I'm a big trash talker, actually, believe it or not. I am a very nice human being. But if you get me in a competitive setting and I want to beat you, look, not with my friends, not in like a real, but dude, on a basketball court, pick up basketball game, ultimate frisbee, summer volleyball, dude, I am ruthless. Because guess what? I'm not just going to beat you. I'm going to get in your head. And part of why you're going to lose to me is because you're going to be second guessing yourself. I think that's it's gamesmanship. It really matters. You can fuck with people's heads by talking trash. I love it. That's amazing. That's part of the game. I was always, when I played football, dude, I talked so much trash to like, no, not really. I didn't, but if you piss me off, like I was very, it was really more pickup basketball, but there was a corner who just talked a ton of trash at a division rival of ours in high school football. He played corner. And dude, I threw the game-winning touchdown over him, and I talked a lot. I gave him an earful. I let him know. And that's part of the game. And I think if you can get in your opponent's head or if you can make someone angry so they lose control of their emotions and start playing badly, It's part of the game, dude. And I think that's a beautiful part of sports is if you can influence someone else's emotions and make them play bad because you're in their head, that's amazing. I think it's beautiful. I know that's it's dirty. I know it's a bit cheap, but I'm very comfortable winning that way. And I wish sports are more comfortable with that too. I think that's a fun way to compete. And I don't know what people are going to think of that. Maybe it's going to make people mad I say that, but part of being a good athlete is having control of your emotions and not letting people mess with your head. And if you can mess with someone's head and get an edge and beat them, I don't care how you win. If you win, you win. If you win because the other guy's second guessing himself because you're talking trash, or he's all out of sorts because he's angry at you and can't control his emotions, that's another way to win. And I think it's a really beautiful way to do it. That's really cool, actually. So I'm all for it. I know that's maybe controversial, but I love talking trash. I think it's awesome. Lucas writes in, because again, by the way, you want to win. And you win any way you can. You do whatever it takes, and I think that's a cool way to do it. Lucas writes in, Lucas says, "Sup, Zacharoo? Just finished listening to your Penix episode. You mentioned that Michael Penix Jr. will have time to learn on the bench without having to be rushed into playing. As a quarterback, how much can be learned on the bench or in practice compared to getting live reps in games? We just saw Jordan Love start the season pretty slow, then turn it on in the second half. Thanks, and hope Mexico was as fun as you made it sound." Mexico was really, really cool. Got to see my family and friends and some of my favorite people in the world. That was awesome. I'm a person who learns by watching. Cooking is this way. I watch cooking videos and I just copy what I see. How I learned HVAC stuff. I watched people do it, and I found the best guy at our company doing it, and I copied his process. I learn by watching people. That's my learning style. I learn by watching people do it, and I copy exactly what they do, the entire process. And then once I've got their process down, I can then effectively make little tweaks to make it more fit me and make their process maybe better. But when it comes to running an offense, I transferred in to a new school in high school. And I was the sixth string quarterback when I got there. And by the second game, I was a starting quarterback. I got access to their film in the summer, and I watched the former quarterback run the offense. And I just was like, his name is Jordan. What is Jordan doing here? Where are his eyes? How is he reading this? Why is that a good decision? Why is that a bad decision? And watching someone else run the same offense I was going to run helped me learn how to do it. I think Michael Penix Jr. sitting behind Kirk Cousins, watching him run the offense, seeing the decisions he's making and why, is going to help him. I think when you watch someone else run the offense, and you know what it does too? It makes you frustrated because you're like, oh, I could do better. I've been training for sales, and there are two other salesmen at my company other than me. And I've been going along on ride-along, seeing their process. And I respectfully look at these two guys and go, there are things I would do differently than them that I think could make me more effective. I think by watching them for the last couple of months, I've been really observing their strengths and their weaknesses as salesmen. And I think maybe there's a lack of self-awareness. There's a lack of willingness to really analyze themselves and go, what could we be doing differently? They're fat and happy, meaning they've got enough sales. They're not as hungry to make changes and get better. And I'm like, man, I want to be the best damn salesman in Portland. I'm not a guy who's easily satisfied. And I look at their process and go, by watching and learning them, I've learned how to do it. But now I'm already like, I want to make that adjustment and that adjustment. I think this would help better. I think there's lots of little things they're doing that I think are ineffective. Michael Penix Jr. is going to have a similar situation watching Kirk Cousins. He'll go, you know what? Here are the things Kirk is leaving on the table. Here are the mistakes he's making that I would do differently and could do better. And it's going to be, I think, watching Kirk Cousins is going to be incredibly helpful for Michael Penix Jr. And I feel really confident he's going to succeed because of the years he's going to spend watching Kirk play quarterback in Atlanta. And yeah, look, when he first gets onto the field, there's going to be a learning curve. I know. I'm going to probably eat shit for like a month as a salesman. I start full-time doing house calls in June. I'm prepared for like the first couple weeks to be rough, and I make mistakes and I have to make tweaks, but once I'm doing it for a month, I'm going to be rolling. I have no doubt. And it's the same with playing quarterback. It might take a couple games for you to get comfortable and really get in a rhythm, but once you're in a rhythm, you'll turn into Jordan Love and do really well. And so I think he's going to learn by watching. And then once he's doing it himself, he'll be understand his process and can make adjustments as he goes. But I have no doubt Michael Penix Jr. is going to be awesome in Atlanta. And part of it is because of the time he's going to spend behind Kirk Cousins, learning and watching and preparing. Just another Florida man writes in and says, "Hey, Zach's sight spheres. Got a would you rather for you. Given no prep time, would you rather have to take the field on an NFL primetime game as a starting quarterback or head coach with play calling duties? One of the teams. I don't know why I say one of the teams. So what he's saying is you got to be on one of the teams as the play caller and head coach or starting quarterback. You have to be in the role for the whole game. Which direction would you go? Head coach, for sure. You can't play NFL quarterback without preparation. Your timing's all messed up and you don't know the system. I think I could fake my way through being an NFL head coach for a game. I would really probably just be like, talk to the quarterback, say, what do you want to call? What's important to you? And I would probably let the quarterback call the game, honestly. I'd have input here and there, but in that situation, you let the quarterback run the show. You get out of the way. The quarterback can do it, and you hope you win. But I think you could be a head coach without preparation because the quarterback theoretically is prepared and knows the offense, but you could not run an NFL offense without preparation. That's just not as a... You couldn't really do either job effectively, but I think I'm more likely to succeed as a coach than as a quarterback in that scenario. Jasper writes in and says, "Hey, Zach. I know this question is very late, probably a few years too late. But what happened with Joe Milton? I am married into the Michigan football thing, and I remember him during the pandemic year, 2020, and he basically destroyed the season and gave Cade McNamara a career. Then he went to Tennessee, and he seemed like a much better quarterback. What happened to him? And is he really the right guy behind Drake May? I know that makes him QB3 in New England, which really shows Jared Mayo's willingness to not be Belichick, as Belichick always only carried two quarterbacks on the roster. I'd love to hear your thoughts." Jasper, Joe Milton makes me think of Tyree Jackson, actually, the former quarterback at Buffalo, who he's really talented, has a huge arm. I think Joe Milton's more talented than Tyree Jackson was, but he's a project. We don't know if he's going to make the team. And he's got a ton of potential. He's got an incredible arm. He can do stuff physically that is really, really impressive. He's got a lot to work on and learn. What happened in his career? He went to Tennessee, got different coaching, got more reps, and he did get better. Although he made a lot of mistakes at Tennessee too. Like he didn't really. There's a lot of room for improvement with Joe Milton. So what happened with Joe Milton? He was not a great quarterback at Michigan. They basically moved on from him. He went to Tennessee, got an opportunity, and did some good stuff at Tennessee, but he also made a lot of mistakes and had to improve. And so, honestly, genuinely, I don't know how to answer this. He just he got on the field and did the best he could. Last question of the day. Joe writes and says, "What's up, Zach? I'm about to make a large change in my life. I'm moving to the opposite side of Washington State, from Spokane all the way to Long Beach, Washington. It's not far from Portland, so I'd love to come out there since I've never really been. That being said, I was curious, since you've moved back and forth from Hawaii twice, what's your biggest tip for moving a long distance? Hope all is well with you, Joe." Joe, so first of all, I'd love to meet you in Portland. That'd be awesome. I love Long Beach. You can drive I can drive my truck on the beach there. It's really, really cool. We should connect, whether it's in Portland or Long Beach. I love both places, and we should connect. We've been trying to connect in Spokane. Congrats on the move. I don't know what you're doing, but that's really awesome. I'm really happy for you. I would much rather live in Long Beach, Washington than Spokane. The beach? Are you kidding me? Congratulations. Moving. So I have moved on an airplane multiple times, which is very different than driving your stuff over to Long Beach, Washington. I don't know how much advice I can really give you because I had to get rid of all of my stuff multiple times. Do not do that if you can avoid that. My best advice to you, honestly, would be just enjoy the process of it and the wonder of it, and try to really enjoy the process. It's very overwhelming to move. It's really hard. And the biggest thing you're going to struggle with, I would think, is community. When you get to a new location, you got to make friends. And so I would encourage you, walk around your city, go to the local spots, talk to people, be outgoing and make friends. That'll make a new location much better. But as far as moving, honestly, the best advice I can give you is don't wait till the last minute to pack, quite frankly, because I've done that also. You wait till like a day and a half before and you're still not packed. If you can theoretically be packed like 2 or 3 days before the moving date actually happens, to live out of a suitcase for 3 or 4 days before you actually move, your life is going to be so much better. Like start packing way in advance, get the packing done way in advance, and that way you can be all done and loaded up and ready to go, and have peace of mind. Because otherwise, trying to do last minute packing is really stressful, and if you can avoid that, definitely do that. I kind of feel bad. I don't have great advice. If you were moving across the ocean without all your stuff on a plane, that could really give you good advice. Moving a distance like you're moving is one that I actually don't have a lot of experience with. It's a different kind of move, but I'm rooting for you. I hope you pack early. If you need help, I don't know. I'm not driving to Spokane to help you. I'm really sorry. I'm not doing that, but I wish you the best. And I just hope things go well. And someday we should connect, whether that's Long Beach or Portland. They're not too far away from each other. It'd be really fun to meet you. We've been in communication for a long time, actually. So, Jill, I'm rooting for you. Congrats on the move. I really think you're moving to a much better location than Spokane, Washington. And I wish you the absolute best. If I come up with a better answer, I have your number. I will text you a better answer, actually. You're one of the few, like a couple people, they write in and they write in questions on Patreon. I was like, you could just text me if you want. Jill, I'll give you an answer if I can think of a better one. But that's what I got so far. Pack in advance is the best advice I can think of right now. Guys, I love you. I appreciate you. Hope you have a great day. See you next time. Bam, we are done.